Coming up on this episode of the Elite Recruiter Podcast.
I kid you not, I took my cell phone, I put it on camera mode, on video mode, and we were in the office that day. And I'm like, we love your dance moves. Look, we can dance too. And like, I was just going around my office with my teammates. We're just dancing. And I sent it to him on LinkedIn Messenger. He responded within a second, set up a call, and now we're working together.
Welcome to the Elite Recruiter Podcast with your host, Benjamin Mena, where we focus on what it takes to win in the recruiting game. We cover it all from sales, marketing, mindset, money, leadership, and placements.
I'm excited about this episode of the Elite Recruiter Podcast because how many times have you had just an idea in your head of like something you want to do, but at the same time, you also understand that recruiting is the core function of the business that you have. But here's what I'm excited about. My guest today has built his recruiting firm, but is because of his recruiting firm has been able to launch another company. And he's going to talk about like the combination of juggling, but really just the foundation that he did to set himself up so that way he could run the two operations successfully. So I'm so excited to have Brian on the podcast. Welcome, Brian.
Thank you so much, Ben, for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
So real quick, another thing I probably should have added this to the highlight is you started your business and then you actually had to shut it down about 2 months later. We're going to go into that story.
Yeah, that is right.
Well, okay. So before we start doing this deep dive, tell the listeners a little bit about yourself.
Of course. So my name is Brian Gabay. As Ben mentioned, I am based in New York City. I've been recruiting for probably over 12 years now, 13 years. I started my own business about 9 years ago when I was 27 years old. I just turned 36. Time flies. It's insane. I don't even know where the time goes. But prior to launching my business, I worked at a couple recruiting firms, one smaller, one more mid-sized. So I kind of got a feel for that corporate recruitment world prior. And I just always had that itch to kind of jump in and get into entrepreneurship and start my own thing. And, I took a leap of faith and I went for it. Our area of specialization in recruiting is public relations. So that's our niche. We represent and work with a lot of PR agencies across the country. And we're a small, nimble team here in New York and we work very hard. And, I think personally for me, I just have crazy passion for the recruitment industry. I don't know, call me crazy. When I was a kid, I didn't say I wanted to be a recruiter one day. It just happened, but I don't regret it for anything.
It's the people that are passionate about the space and share the stories. I think it has the most impact, which is phenomenal. So let's even get started.
Yeah.
How did you end up into this wonderful world of recruiting? Just fall into it?
I applied to a cold job posting on LinkedIn. I was in sales prior. I was selling life insurance prior. I'm like, I don't want to do this anymore, but I love working with people. And what can I do with keeping that people interaction and sales? But I love helping people too. And I applied cold and that was it. Now the rest is history.
Okay. So fast forward, you worked at a few firms.
Yeah.
Did you always have that itch in the back of your head? I needed to go out on my own.
Oh yeah. It didn't happen instantly. I think in the beginning, I was still learning the ropes of recruiting, understanding the business, lay of the land, sourcing, client communication. Like in the beginning, it was just like I was a junior guy just getting into it. It's like any sales job, right? It was a hustle, ups and downs, of course, like a roller coaster ride. But I would say year 2 in, I was like, you know what? I'm pretty good at this. I'm like making some placements. I'm enjoying it too. It's funny. My mother always told me, she's like, Brian, work in an industry that people come to you. Because in life insurance prior, I was going chasing people down to sell them life insurance. And then out of nowhere, when I in recruiting, I had candidates applying, emailing me. But, I realized it's not so fruitful. It's not that easy. If it was easy, everyone would be doing this. Let's be real. But it's interesting. I just felt the instant connection with recruiting. And year 2, I started getting that itch. I got to go out on my own and do something and build something special.
What finally pushed you over the edge?
What pushed me over the edge? Living with my 2 roommates in the city at the time. I'm like, I got to get out of here. I got to get out of here. No joke. It was a 2-bedroom apartment and we made a 3rd bedroom for me in the middle of the living room. I didn't even have a a wall that went up to the ceiling. They used to throw things at me over the wall all the time. I'm like, you know what? I really need to get out of here.
So it was never like a bad boss. It wasn't a bad experience. You were just like, I need to freaking have control.
Oh, I mean, yes, but I mean, all jokes aside, at the time, it was what it was, this 2015 or 2016. That's when I started, January 2016. So 2015 is when I was really like, really thinking about it. I loved where I worked, but it was just very, at the time, recruiting in general, not only like where I worked, just recruiting in general was very old school mentality. And I think, cold calling was a thing and everything like that. I never was the type to cold call when it came to recruiting. I used to cold call and sale and life insurance ads like prior. But when it came to recruiting, I'm like, hey, if I want to talk to Michelle, I also want to talk to Rachel that sits right next to Michelle. And I'm not going to cold call them during the day, while they're at work sitting right next to each other. It just, I don't know. It just wasn't my thing. I had a different mindset, different mentality, different way to go about recruiting at the time. And I don't think I was able to do it where I was. And I just had this vision. And my parents are both entrepreneurs. They're very hard. I didn't grow up. I didn't come from money, but they really are just hardworking individuals. And I feel like I just had that just naturally inside of me. I don't know. It's just in my blood. It's just really in my blood.
So you pulled the trigger and you started working.
Yeah.
Started grinding out.
Yep.
You're 2 months in and you're just like, just getting that momentum. The most important thing that you could do is like a recruiting founder, the momentum.
Of course.
And you had to stop everything and hang up the business. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, of course. So leading up to me starting my business, my father, unfortunately, he was on dialysis. He had kidney failure. He was on dialysis for about 3.5 years. And during this whole time, up to from 2012 to 2015, we were looking for a donor, someone to donate he or she's kidney to my father. Unfortunately, I wasn't a blood match, neither were my siblings. My dad's universal, he's type O, which you can only receive from O, but you can donate to anyone, which is crazy. Yeah. So 3.5 years, we're looking. It was the craziest journey of my life, my whole family's life. And I finally found someone off the internet. I used my recruiting skills. But look, it wasn't the easiest placement. It took over 3 years to make this placement. And she is literally an angel from Atlanta, Georgia. She's incredible. Shout out to Jen Wolf if you're listening to this. She donated her kidney to my dad, saved his life. A year later, at the time, I created this like 5-minute YouTube video explaining the story. It's really cool and emotional. It just tells the whole story about the whole journey. And Fox Network found my YouTube video somehow, and they reached out to me. And they said there's a show coming on called Home Free Season 2, and they wanted me to be in the show. The concept of the show is 11 contestants are competing to win a dream home for their heroes. And my hero, of course, is Jennifer. And you're going to laugh. I actually said no. I said I can't do it because they didn't tell me the name of the show. I didn't know anything. At the time, it was all like confidential. They just said you'll be competing on a competition show to win something for your hero. Long story short, I went back and forth. My sister was going to do this, and I'm like, you know what? I have to be the one to do it. Everyone was like pushing me to do it, and I went for it. 2 months, I didn't have a phone, a computer. They cut my TV cords in the room. We would be on set for 4 days and then in a hotel room for 2 days, hibernating. Yeah, it was insane, but it was the most amazing experience ever. I ended up winning Jennifer a dream home on national television, and it was insanity. And then I came back, and when I left, I had someone that I used to work with help me out and take over the business, pretty much handle things while I was gone for 2+ months at the time.
Wow. Well, congratulations on putting on the recruiting hat and actually finding probably one of the most important placements you've ever made or will ever make.
Hands down.
But then you were able to help pay her back.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Beating out all those other people.
Yeah. And I think that's the reason why I did it, because I was like, you know what? How do you repay someone that did something so selfless? This is a stranger. This restored my faith in humanity. People like this do exist, Look, how hard people don't donate to their kidney organs to their family members, let alone a stranger that doesn't know anything about us did this for us. And how do you repay her? There's nothing, but this is the least I could have done. And honestly, till this day, we talk all the time. She's like a fourth. I have 3 sisters. She's a 4th sister, I consider, and absolutely, absolutely incredible. And I would do it all over again if I could.
And like I said, great job on beating all the other competitors.
Yeah, no, it was wild. You gotta actually, I didn't win the show, but every week when someone gets eliminated, we build a new home every single week. And when someone gets eliminated, their hero still wins that home. So actually 11 people ended up winning,
Okay.
and you got to watch it. Home Free season 2, you'll see. There's some drama involved in it. It's pretty, it gets a little crazy. So Tim Tebow is the host of the show. If you're familiar with Tim Tebow, he's the man. Shout out to Tim.
He is. Like, the guy's huge too. But anyways, well, get back to recruiting. Well, and like, okay, so you got back from the show.
Yep.
Like, you're coming off this high. You got to put the recruiting hat back on. How did you get back in the game?
Took a really deep breath. And I sat down and I went back into it. Of course I was on a high and everything, but when I got back, it was actually a story to tell my clients, and even, just conversation, with candidates, clients. It was a pretty cool story to tell. Even with new business, I used to tell people at the time, I'm like, look, if I found a stranger to donate their kidney to my dad, I think I can find you your next like VP in New York or whatever. It was just a story tell. I just got into it. I got back into it. I had a lot of pressure on myself too, because, and I think that's something about me. I'm always like in tunnel vision. It's like me versus me at all times. There's obviously competition out there, but at the end of the day, people are hiring us to find them the best people. And my goal is just to find the best people. I don't care if other people find you other people before me, but if I'm going to find you the best person, we're going to end up, winning the race in a sense. So I always compete against myself. And I'm just, I just came back after the show and I just went at full speed. And I didn't start my business just to be a one-man shop at all times. I started my business to build something, to grow something, to have employees. I used to walk around co-working spaces. I'm like, oh, one day I want that office with all those employees and, really like building something special. And that was the goal in mind, and, just hit the ground running.
You had the vision, you had the work ethic, you started putting into work. How did you actually start growing?
Yeah. So our recruitment specialization is public relations. And
why'd you choose that niche?
So my first job, the job that I applied cold to on LinkedIn, they happened to specialize also in like marketing, communications, PR, and I handled a lot of the PR placements at the time. And yeah, it's not really, it chose me, honestly. I didn't choose it. I just fell into it, and I was, building a name for myself in the industry. And then when I actually went out on my own, people already knew me, in the PR industry. So it was kind of, I don't want to say easy, nothing's easy, but it was kind of organically a good match and fit to kind of specialize and continue to specialize in PR.
When did you make the decision to fully like hire somebody for your team?
Oof. So I started the business in 2016. 2018, this is another bump in the road happened. It seems like every time I start something, there's a bump in the road. 2018 happened. I interviewed this guy, taking a leap of faith, making up my first hire, paying a salary. It was the scariest thing ever as a new, business owner. So say the guy would say he was starting on Monday. No joke. On Saturday, I was playing basketball and tore my ACL and meniscus. I couldn't walk. I was going to crush it. I was gearing up for surgery in the next 3 weeks. And I remember meeting him at like a Whole Foods in crutches as kind of like onboarding him. Yeah, it was insane. Can't catch a break. I also had to take some time off, and this guy just started as operating my business within the first week. Yeah, insane.
Is he still part of the team?
No. He was with us for a couple of years, and COVID happened. We had some restructuring going on. We can get into that, but always something, right? That's life. There's always something. You just gotta keep your head up at all times.
Okay, so you're growing the business, and things are, and we'll talk about some BD stuff shortly. But
Sure, of course.
When did you hit the point where you realized you could actually, you're founder, you're the face of the business, like that, typically the recruiting owner is the rainmaker.
Sure.
Where did you hit the point where you realized, like, I have this idea that's in my head that I just can't stop thinking about, that I know that I could do it, but when did you hit that point where, like, I think I can actually start working on this idea while also fully working on the business?
Oh yeah, I'll get into the
Yeah.
background of how this kind of rooted. So basically, a couple years ago, I lived on the financial district by the seaport, and it was like a stressful week with work and everything. And I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna leave my phone at home and I'm gonna take a stroll. I'm gonna just walk to the seaport and just sit. Something I feel like we should all do that a lot. If you do it, that's fantastic, but just to plug out for a minute. As recruiters, we're constantly on our phones, emailing, texting, whatnot. So I just sat down and I started pondering, and I'm like, what is the most frustrating part of my job? For me personally, everyone can say different things. For me as a recruiter, scheduling interviews. I was so frustrated with just the back and forth, the manual work of scheduling interviews. I think at the time it was high volume. We were constantly going back and forth. I'm like, there's got to be a better way. So I thought about this crazy idea of how things can be easier for recruiters and, just simplify the interview scheduling process. Long story short, I ran back to my apartment. I wrote this all down on a piece of paper. I still have it with me. It's squashed by a banana in my backpack, but I still have that initial piece of paper. And I didn't start it right away. I was just thinking about it, brainstorming, strategizing because I was working a full time running a recruiting agency, which is beyond a full-time task. So it was very hard, but in baby steps, slowly, I partnered up with a development team, and it took over a year to kind of come up to where we're at today with a finalized, product, which we can get into after. But essentially, to answer your question, it took about, started 2 years ago till I think right now I'm actually ready to, at a point that I can actually split my time, perhaps 50-50 between both businesses in some sense.
And I mean, to do that, you got to have like a highly functioning team. And like, this is going to sound bad. You're also not, it sounds like you're probably also not doing everything yourself.
Oh yeah, no, of course not. So
how do you get over the hurdle of, I hate to say this, delegation?
yeah, it's probably one of the harder things to do, to give up, and to be able to delegate more to your team and giving up that control. As a recruitment business founder, we started this, we planted the seeds, or our clients we brought in, everyone knows you're the face of the business. But if you're going to actually continue to grow and you want to continue to shine and continue developing, you have to give up some control and you have to delegate more. You have to put more trust in your team, because at the end of the day, we can't do it just by ourselves. We need a team behind us to really help us get to where we eventually want to be. And at the end of the day, if you're successful, everyone wins. You win and your team wins too. And that's really important to me. So delegation is definitely key to get to this point for me personally.
Okay. So a combination of delegation, but the sales and clients are the lifeblood of our business.
Yes.
You can't change lives. You can't fill positions if you have nothing to work on. Like, and a combination of adding another plate that you're spinning.
Yeah.
What are you doing business development wise, or how did you develop your team to do BD so that way you now have multiple plates spinning?
Right. Well, good thing is the beginning phases of my, since I started BSA until probably the whole journey with business development, we've actually organically grew from word of mouth. We're in a niche area of recruitment and public relations specifically. There's not a million PR recruiters out there. There's a ton of finance, accounting, not like such a broad industry. It's very much of a specific targeted industry. So business development, knock on wood, hasn't always been something that I had to always chase, throughout my journey. It's been, we have a ton of clients that have been with us from day one and they're still with us. And a lot of it has been just natural word of mouth growth. Obviously, there's been plenty of points of, slow times that we had to pick up the pace. But I would train my team how to go, the approach of business development, how to reach out to people, what to say, things of that nature, and kind of help them get to a point that they feel very comfortable and confident with business development. But the good thing is when we're reaching out to PR firms, we have a pretty good track record. So it's easier to go after business development within our field because we can say we work with your competitors, we help place this, we can name drop, whatever it is. And people feel already comfortable with us, that we already know the lay of the land, you know?
If you weren't narrowed down in a niche, do you think you'd be able to take on a second project?
It's a good question. I think so, because I think just my structure model would be a little bit different. I think I would have specialists in each sector to kind of dominate that area. I used to work at a mid-sized recruitment firm. It was completely multi-divisional, and they represented so many different sectors and industries, and that usually had one person kind of owning that function. To answer your question, I think so, yes. It would just be a completely different business model, you know?
Okay. And one more question on that. Like, is there people on your team that are kind of concerned about that? Or how do you approach it with your team? Or is it just you've given them more power and more reward?
I should ask them if they're concerned about it. Imagine well, this guy do it. Crazy. No, I don't think so. I'm very involved. We have our team meetings every Monday morning. We regroup and strategize for the week. We're talking on teams nonstop daily. I'm constantly updating everyone. So right now, most of the client communication goes through me, but I have another individual on my team that handles also a lot of the client contact and communication. So she's really delegating and really updating the team on, new roles and things of that nature. So there's been a lot of help, but I'm managing. A lot of the legwork is done on the development side. So right now for me, it's more about selling and getting it out there. I hate using the word selling. You know what I mean? Really creating buzz and getting it out there, bringing value to people. When you have something special, everyone should have it. It's kind of how do you make that happen? You know what I'm saying? So that's my mission right now, but at the same time, continuing to build and keep my recruiting business in a stable place that we can.
Going back to the recruiting business, it sounds like you have a freaking awesome team.
Yeah, they're awesome.
It's like the secret sauce right there. But how did you recruit those people? There's a lot of recruiters out there that are just hey, I want to grow a team, and it's just the struggle of maybe wrong person, this and that. But
yeah,
it sounds like you found some rock stars. What was the secret of finding them?
Yeah, I remember when I was looking in the beginning, I always said, I just want a good person, a good human being, comes from a good family, was just good, good, strong work ethic, just good human beings. And I feel like anytime I interviewed anyone, I would ask them some key questions to really get to know them. Not really, do you want to source? What's your research skills? Have you been on LinkedIn? I don't really ask those questions typically. I really ask them, who are you? Tell me about your family, not to get invasive or anything personal, but really just kind of I just want to get to know them. And that was always my strategy in hiring these people. Every person that's here right now came from, actually funny, one of them was a former client. So yeah, it's pretty wild. And another person actually worked with me in the beginning. She was my second hire. And she left after COVID to explore internal recruiting and actually boomerang back this year in April. So there's a pretty cool story for each person that's here right now.
This second project that you've been working on, this idea that it was just, you unplugged, had an idea, wrote it down. It's now hitting development phase.
Yeah.
Where do you see the future of that business along with the recruiting business going?
Oh, huge. Because first of all, Arrange was built basically to solve a problem for us. You know what I mean? We are the user case. We are the customer. We are recruiters. I saw the gap in the industry. So we're basically solving a problem for us, So I think they both obviously go together really well. And yeah, I feel like, we're going to we use Arrange right now internally to schedule interviews, and it's the biggest game changer ever. I don't have really baggy eyes. Oh, maybe I'm tired. It's Friday, so but I used to have really big baggy eyes from just scheduling interviews, but those days are gone. Good thing.
So real quick, explain what Arrange actually does. You talked about the pain in scheduling interviews because, here's a problem that I have in my space is working with the managers, but the problem is I can't really get access to their calendar because they're on some cleared systems that the government controls. How do you juggle, what does it do?
I'll tell you right now. Great question. You ready for this? Drum roll. Boom, boom, boom. Here we go. So to keep things super simple, right? You have a client, you have a candidate, and you need to set up a meeting for both of them, okay? You go into your Arrange dashboard, probably under 10 clicks, and your user experience as a recruiter is completely done. You click on your candidate, you click on your client, and you can click on the method of how you want to arrange it. Right now, we have 3 different methods. Let's just start with Matchmaker, it's called. You click on Matchmaker and you click on Arrange. You're done. You can follow now everything on the back end on our live state tracker. So you can see what's going on, see who's done what, and until ultimately the interview gets arranged. You're always still in control. But what happens once you click Arrange, right? Both your client and candidate will receive an email white labeled by your recruiting company. Okay. So basically saying, congratulations, you progressed to the interview phase with the company, your client, blah, blah, blah. For the candidate, click here to provide your availability. Both parties click on the link to provide availability. A super user-friendly form pops up. They provide their availability. They can also connect their calendar to show the times that they're free, so they don't have to toggle back to different calendars. So everything can be done in this one form. It's very user-friendly. So they provide, the client provides, the candidate provides. They're done. On the back end, you can actually see when each person shared their availability, so you can know what's going on. An invite goes out instantly to all parties with the candidate's resume attached, with all the details, the Zoom details, everything that's needed to be on the calendar invite. Not only does everyone get that invite, they also get a confirmation email with all the details. They can cancel, they can reschedule. They never have to go through you to reschedule this anymore, by the way. So you're always removed from the process. It's incredible. Now, not only does everyone get an invite, but you as a recruiter, it also pops up on your calendar because you connect your calendar to Arrange. So it's on your work calendar, it's on your Arrange calendar, you're CC'd, you're always in the mix of everything. But all you did was literally 6 clicks. You never had to email anyone, never had to get back and forth communication, never had to manually send out invites. But the cool thing about this, not only that's great for you, you're giving your clients and candidate a red carpet treatment from working with you. It elevates your brand. On all the forms that they fill out, your logo is actually on there. So it looks like you are actually proprietary scheduling technology that you've created. And the user experience, both client, I can't tell you, I have like, the clients are like, this is amazing. Candidates are like, this is insane. This is so easy, you know? It's smart automation and transparency. People are still able to provide their availability with that transparent human element involved as well. So there's a personal touch all around. It really saves so much time and makes things so pleasant for everyone involved in coordinating these interviews.
So real quick, this sounds amazing.
Yeah.
What if my clients, because of like the government space that they're in, are not allowed to like integrate their calendars?
Sure. Great question. So when I schedule it, there's an option, those less than 10 clicks. So one of the clicks is choose video meeting mode method. Do you want your client to connect their Zoom or their Google, or do you want to connect yours, your Google or Zoom? So in that case, from clients that are a little bit more confidential, if you just choose that you're going to use your Zoom or Google or Microsoft Teams link, whatever, you just click on that, you connect yours. So the invites will have your Zoom details, not theirs. So they're not connecting anything. They're only providing availability. Or if your clients like to receive availability versus providing, you would just do the candidate first method, which is the candidate fills out, provides availability, and the client just receives it, clicks, and that's it. They can also add as many hiring managers as they want. If it's a panel meeting, it's awesome. It's very thought out.
It's your secret sauce. Like, why do you want your competitors to also have it?
My competitors? Hey, I built it for everyone. I built it for my competitors, so it's all good. You know what it is? A lot of people have ideas, but not everyone executes. You know what I mean? And I'm grateful that I had this idea, and here I am. Completely finalized product. We're ready to go to market, and we're just at an execution phase right now.
When it comes to other people that have an idea that's in the back of their head that they just can't get out.
Yeah.
But they know that the core of what their business is and how they make money is recruiting and being a great recruiter.
Right.
What advice would you give to those people that are like, you know what, in 2025, this year, I want to still be a great recruiter, but I want to execute on that idea?
Do it. Do it. Honestly, what is stopping you? Really think this through. Time just keeps moving. And if you think ahead in 5-10 years from now, where do you want to be? If you have something so special in your mind, if you're not going to do it, someone else will. Do it. Take the time, sit down, strategize, come up with a business plan. Put your thoughts to paper first things first. Play around with the idea, ask people for feedback that you trust, and start executing. In this day and age, there's so many resources, there's so much tools and just things that can just help you really get more and more confident that your idea can be something really special, So just utilize your resources. But at the end of the day, you just have to do it. It's just like going to the gym. No one wants to show. If you show up, that's the hardest part. You just got to show up, and you got to show up. It's the same idea. People talk and this, before you know it, 2 years goes by, they never did it. You just literally have to do it. Just do it. There's no secret. There's nothing else I can tell you. Just do it.
So just do it. Now, like in action phase, like how did you, during these development times of like both companies, like how did you time block your calendar for both to keep on working like they are?
Wild. Early morning calls with the dev team typically helps. So I'm usually done by, I would say, around 10:30ish, and that could be like a 2-hour dev call. Usually they're pretty long. And then after that, focus on recruiting for basically the rest of the day. When I have some like downtime, I'll play around like testing, blah, blah, blah. But to be completely candid, now that we're at a point in 2025 that we're really going to market and really need to get this out there, I'm going to have to juggle my calendar more so than ever, and really find a way to kind of streamline the demo process, because it's very time consuming to go on these demos myself and conduct, these conversations with, prospects and whatnot. So my goal for Q1 of 2025 is kind of like automate the demo experience. So I can really just send people, maybe videos, tutorials, so they can get familiarized themselves with Arrange. But the good thing about Arrange, it is so user-friendly. I can bet anyone that tries it out, within 20 minutes, you're going to master it. Like, it's really so simple to use.
So like you got two businesses.
Yep.
But you're kind of like me. You also have a young one at home.
Yeah, I do.
And, everything that you do is, you love the recruiting space. You have passion for our industry. You have passion for your team.
Yeah.
But we've had conversations offline. I know family comes first for you. Like, how do you juggle all that with a tiny human at home too?
Yeah, it's been really hard, but you know what? It's such a blessing working remotely, because, I'm in my office all day long, working on both businesses, but I'm so grateful that I can just go upstairs and help out and give my son a hug and play with him for a little bit, even if it's just for 5 minutes at a time. I can do that in increments, Obviously, I got to eat, right? So when I eat, I'm usually with him and playing with him. So it's been working out really well. I'm in the office about once a week. Typically, I go in and we meet up with my team in person. But other than that, 6 days a week, I'm home, And no matter how busy you are, you got to prioritize family. Your son's up there, and my son's up there. He gets so smiley when he sees me. And that to me is worth everything. So I will continue to be always present as a father and juggle both Arrange and BSA. At the end of the day, I'm doing this for him, deep down.
Well, before we jump over to like the quick fire questions, is there anything else you want to talk about? The foundation, time blocking, juggling both the organizations, even like what recruiters should be doing when it comes to business development, kind of like what you've been doing.
Yeah, no, of course. I actually recently started doing business development in a different way, which I found really fun and creative and kind of stands out a little bit. To give you an example, there's this PR agency founder that always posts videos of himself like dancing on LinkedIn, like dancing. And we've never worked with him before. So I'm like, you know what? This guy seems like a cool guy and fun and full of personality. Let me try something a little bit different. I kid you not. I took my cell phone. I put it on camera mode, on video mode. And we were in the office that day. And I'm like, we love your dance moves. Look, we can dance too. And like, I was just going around my office with my teammates. We're just dancing. And I'm like, then after we did that fun little spiel for like 15 seconds, I'm like, hey, wanted to introduce myself. We do a lot of recruiting in your area. Sorry that you're hiring. We would love to help. And maybe we can, once we make a placement, we can all dance together. Something like fun and creative. I sent it to him on LinkedIn Messenger. He responded within a second, set up a call, and now we're working together. Stand out, do something a little bit different. People think so much on what to write. How can I get into their, 300 character limit, LinkedIn connection? Yes, but everyone does that. So I think the video game is actually pretty cool, and I've been liking it recently. And you don't have to think it through so much. Just do it raw. Just take your phone, just introduce yourself. Hey, what's going on? Blah, blah, blah. I saw this, and send it out. Make it personalized to each person. 30 to 45 seconds of max. That's it. You're done.
Love that. The secret's being different. Well, we're going to dance our way over to the quick fire questions.
Let's do it.
Okay, so like you said that you like to find people in this space that are just great people.
Yep.
And are you teaching them recruiting?
My recruiting team?
Typically when you find somebody, are you teaching them the recruiting world?
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah, initially in the beginning, especially, how to recruit,
Let's take it back to like the first conversation that you would have with your next new hire.
Sure.
They never have been in the recruiting space before.
Yep.
What advice would you give to them that they will have a successful career in our space?
You're going to fail a lot. There's going to be times that you're going to make a placement and they're going to quit within a week. There's going to be times that you're going to get a job offer for one of your candidates and they're going to decline it. There's going to be so many times of failure, but the pros outweigh the cons. Most people quit quickly. You need patience in this industry, and that's how you come up on top. Sense of urgency, resilience, just staying focused is key, and being able to roll with the punches. Because if you're not the type that has thick skin and can't deal with failure, you're going to end up as a statistics. The best recruiters are the ones that failed the most.
Same question, but for somebody that's been in the block, like somebody listening to this podcast, like they've been recruiting 2 decades in, based on everything that you've been doing and the success that you've seen and had.
Yep.
What advice would you give to them to keep on going in this game?
Keep on going. You got to the point that you've been doing this for a long time, so you must be good at this point, right? So clearly you've had a lot of wins and successes in your career, because otherwise you probably would have quit, this industry, a long time ago if you never got a taste for success, because that's the addicting part of this industry is when you get that taste of success, you want to experience it again. So you want to keep going. My best advice to you is that we're entering 2025 and technology is all around us. AI is all around us, and, embrace the technology. Not every tool is going to be right for you, but be open-minded to it. Be open-minded to, there's a lot of people out there reaching out with new tech tools or whatever it is. But sometimes it's worth a listen and just kind of hearing things out, because I do feel like most recruiters that are going to get ahead of the game in the future are going to be utilizing a lot, and relying on technology more and more than ever. So just be open-minded to it. That's all.
No. Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things we've always been talking about on this podcast. Like, what can you automate so you can get back to focusing on the relationships?
Right. Exactly. All right. Or starting new companies, Or
starting a new company.
Yeah.
What book has had a huge impact on your career and life?
I would say probably The 4-Hour Workweek by Tim Ferriss, if you're familiar. Great book. It really taught me triage. Basically, what am I going to do right now to make the most use of my time? So really time management, working smarter, not harder. And, obviously I don't work 4 hours a week. Let's be real. But I wish. I mean, that would be amazing. Maybe one day, right? But the point is, it really taught me to make things, when you start your day, focus on the priorities first, tackle them, get it done, and then kind of segue into the rest of your day. So time management and efficiency. And that book really kind of helped me just strategize and be the person I am today, I would say, and how I look at my career, go about my career.
And I feel like this is going to be an easy answer for you. What is your favorite recruiting tech tool?
Oh, God. No, I'm kidding. Obviously, Arrange. Come on. Arrange all the way. Stop scheduling, start arranging.
And when it comes to, you start your career like literally cold calling for life insurance, which I feel is one of the hardest jobs out there.
God, it's so hard.
Like,
yeah.
Nobody wants to talk to you.
Yeah, it's insane. It's very hard.
And then you've been recruiting for a bit, had success. Then you decided to launch your own firm, and then you shut it down because you helped win a home for one of the best placements you've ever made.
Yep.
For a hero in your life. Then you've grown in scale. Like you had a vision to grow at scale. You hit that vision. You had another vision to build a tech company. You've hit that vision.
Yeah.
What do you think has been a huge contributor to your personal success?
Oof. I think it's really just what I really want out of my life in the future. When I retire one day, when I'm in like I'm thinking mid 60s, whatever, mid 70s, when I'm older, I want just to live a, first of all, healthy, comfortable life. And I want to be able to give my children the things I never had in my life growing up, and that motivation is just really inside of me, instilled in me. And I'm like a machine. I just don't stop. And the self-motivation, being okay with failure, actually embracing failure. It's called me crazy when I fail in recruiting or whatever, when things like I get feedback, whatever it is, I actually, in a sick way, I love it because I know I'm a step closer to that win. I know it's coming because it's just like anything in life. When you go down, you go back up. So that's really what contributes to my, to my success motivation.
I mean, you're self-driven, self-motivated,
Totally.
But at the same time, I also know you're in the recruiting space. You have some pretty shitty weeks. I'm sure.
God, yeah.
How do you get through those?
Oh yeah. How do you get through those? Okay, I'll tell you how you get through it. You go into your fridge, you take a cup, and you pour some cold brew in there, and you put some whipped cream on it. You can call me crazy right now, I swear to God. Cold brew with some whipped cream, maybe some cinnamon, and just give it a little shake. Go back to your desk, put on a song called Jubel, Jubel, okay? And just get back to work. That is my reset. When I'm sinking, I do that probably every single day because there's always downturns and every day is different. Every day is like you're in the battlefield and you're going to go through those downs. I'm telling you, cold brew, whipped cream, little bit cinnamon, give it a little shake, put on Jubel. You're like a new person. At least for me, it works.
I'm gonna have to look up that song once we're done here.
Oh, it's fantastic.
Well, and okay, next question. I'm gonna ask this two different ways.
Yeah.
First is gonna be like, the very beginning of you starting your recruiting business. Or we'll say maybe not the very beginning. We'll say like once you get past the first few months and you're back in the game again, everything that you know now with what you've done, the working with clients, working with your team, if you could go back in time and have a conversation with yourself, a cold brew, what advice would you give yourself?
You're going to be very proud of the person you are if you don't quit. You're going to be very proud of yourself. There's going to be a day that you're going to look back and say to yourself, wow, I built this from scratch.
Did you almost quit?
Oh yeah. Especially in the beginning. I would say the first year and a half was probably the scariest, hardest times. I had no income. I wasn't making placements. I had some fall offs actually. I had to literally give money back. And I was highly considering going back to another recruiting agency and just starting back up again. The biggest thing is that when you do this, you have no one else to lean on. When I worked at those firms, I used to lean on my boss. I used to lean on the CEO. I used to lean on my coworkers. I had support and everything. When you do this on your own, you have to lean on yourself. And that's the scariest part. You can't stop though. That's the hardest thing. It's you just can't stop. You just got to keep going. Leaning on yourself you learn so much about yourself too. You learn who you are as a person, on a very deep level. You learn how you handle struggle more than you'll ever, more than anything. No college can teach you this. No, I don't think anything can really teach you this when you're in a position of relying on yourself with everything you got.
That year that you wanted to quit, you wanted to potentially go back to another agency. What was the biggest thing that you evolved from Or like, what's the biggest thing that like the lesson or mindset that you had to learn to keep on going?
I think the biggest thing would probably be, what are you going back to? You know what I mean? Like, if you do quit, right? Would you ever do this again? For me, it's if I'm quitting, I'm never trying it again. That's my mindset, you know?
Same question again, but are we looking back at arranged? Like your first few minutes in, if you got a chance to go back to and talk to yourself then with the development troubles that you probably had, taking longer than you probably want, investing more than you probably felt like you needed to.
Yeah.
What advice would you go back and say to yourself kind of towards the start of the second project?
Get it out there as soon as possible, even when it's not perfect in your eyes, and just get as much feedback as you can before you start investing more time and money into it. I think that would be the best advice I can give myself in that situation. I think my user case is a little like different just because I get obsessive with adding new cool features to Arrange just because it's things that I would want as a recruiter and I would like to see because I'm a customer myself. But I think you can do all this without going 150% and putting all the bells and whistles. You can get it out there as a very basic product and just build around feedback.
You talk to a lot of recruiters online. I know you're best friends with somebody I know pretty well. You have great conversations all the time with recruiters, and I'm sure like they ask you questions like, "How the hell are you doing BD? How are you doing this? Like, why are you having fun dancing on videos and getting clients that way?" But is there a question that you wish they would actually ask you, and what would be that answer?
Ooh, good question. I wish they would ask me, what inspires you, to keep going, even on the most challenging days? What inspires you to keep going? Because I think all my recruiter friends, anyone in the industry, can say that there's even like Instagram pages of recruiter memes that are like, recruiter life is very hard. Like, we're like in our hospital bed with our laptop and phone recruiting. Like, it just goes to show that people like are very stressed in this industry for a reason, because we're dealing with human beings. You can love human beings as a recruiter. You want to work with human, you want to help people. But when you're actually in this industry, you start like questioning everyone. Like, why, you start like, I don't want to use a hate word, but you start like disliking human beings, right? Just because we deal with a lot of nonsense, when we work so closely with people, in the recruiting space. So I think that would be a question. Like, we all can relate to struggles. We can all relate to challenges, but what inspires you to keep going? And I think that really sums up everything we spoke about in terms of like that inspiration, that long-term vision, the pressure, when it all falls on you, when you're leaning on yourself, and how you can't stop and you have to keep going. That all inspires me.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, This has been an awesome, phenomenal interview. Before I let you go, two things. First of all, how can people follow you?
Sure, of course. Just go to our range. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. Follow me in many ways. So you can follow me on LinkedIn, of course, Brian Gabay. But going back, letsarrange.io is the Arrange website. If you want to check it out, we're offering a free 30-day trial to anyone that wants to test it, use it. All the bells and whistles, completely free for 30 days. And honestly, send me a DM. I'm an open book. I'm here to help. Look, I'm still growing. I'm still learning. I'll never stop. We all will never stop learning every single day. And I'm on this journey with you guys. We're all in this together, honestly. And, just be the best version of yourself every single day. That's all you can ask for. If you can do that, you're in for a treat.
Well, I think you just summed up what I was going to ask you, but is there anything else that you want to share with the listeners?
I mean, I think, that, but overall, sum this all up, recruiting is a very, tough industry, but it's so rewarding. So, just keep going, keep showing up every single day, help people get better. If you do that, you're going to just become a proud recruiter and a better recruiter just by helping people. And being proud it just makes you feel good. And when you feel good, you can recruit better. But don't ever forget to put whipped cream in cold brew and a little bit cinnamon and give it a little shake and juggle and hit reset and get back to work.
That's the secret. Get back to work. But this has been an awesome interview, Brian. I know we initially came on to talk about the structure and the foundation that a recruiter has to do if they want to spin multiple plates. If they want to chase multiple dreams while still having the core recruiting business. But man, we got deep. I still love the story that you recruited somebody that saved your dad's life, and that person has now become a sister.
Yeah.
And you went to one of my house, which is even better. So kudos to that. But man, talk about an awesome interview. And for the recruiters out there listening, it's 2025. Make this the year of abundance. Do something different. Maybe dance real quick on a video and send it to a client if they're doing a lot of dancing.
Yeah.
But this is the year to do something different. Put in the work and make the 2025 the year of abundance so you can go chase your dreams.
Cheers to that. Cheers to that.
Thank you guys and keep crushing it.